Francis Borgia Grammar School Spelling Bee champion. We all have had our high moments, right? That was 1998, 99, and 2000. And when he's not telling stories, you can find him performing on the house team. Is it Boink? Boink. At West Side Improv in Wheaton. So this is a really cool place. They actually have a monthly storytelling show there as well, but it's an improv performance space. And they have a house team. I keep saying I'm going to go out there. I know. I want to go out there and really watch the improv team. It sounds like fun. You can look it up. It's West Side Improv in Wheaton. But now, Danny lives in Elmhurst with his wife and their Chiweenie. Is that a teeny tiny a Chihuahua dachshund? That's why it's called a Chiweenie. Chiweenie? Oh my gosh. I'm trying to imagine what it looks like. You can show us pictures at the end of the show, Danny. He's got them. Should anybody want to know what? Yeah. Okay. A Chihuahua and a Dachshund look like. Her name is Stella. So anyway, you can ask him by name. All right. Let's welcome Danny Bowery.
It's recess, and we're all out on the blacktop at St. Francis Borgia Grammar School on the northwest side of Chicago. Now, we don't have fancy playground equipment like those lucky SOBs at Canty, the public school down the street. So we second graders use our imagination in the barren parking lot. This usually meant having fake weddings at the unspoken line dividing the boys and the girls. So roles would be assigned, one bride, one groom, everyone else a bridesmaid or a groomsman. Except for me, of course. I was always the priest. Now, I grew up a reasonably devout Catholic. My family went to Mass every Sunday. I made all my sacraments, and I was an altar boy. And to answer your next question, no, nothing happened. Now, naturally, like a lot of Catholic boys, I felt like maybe I really was supposed to be a priest. I got pretty good at playing priest, performing all those fake weddings at recess, getting out of school to be an altar boy at funerals, and swinging the incense at midnight mass on Christmas Eve, or as we call it in the altar boy game, the show. I was also really fascinated by Pope John Paul II. He was my first pope, and I thought he was a cool guy because he seemed like a real person. I felt like I could grow up to be like him. And as I got older, I took the idea of being a priest more seriously, and even mentioned it to my mom, who was less than encouraging about the prospect, saying she would be disappointed because she wanted better for my life. Now, she said the same thing when I quit Little League, and not because she cared about baseball, she really just didn't want people to talk. So, despite this discouragement, it was still something I was contemplating. Of course, I often contemplate the opposite sex, too. So in my mind, there was a constant struggle between wanting to be a priest and wanting to make out with girls. I was always getting mixed signals. I went to my first school dance in 7th grade, and I hung back for most of the night, making sure to leave plenty of room for the Holy Spirit. And I didn't think anyone would want to dance with me anyways. That is until I'll Be by Edwin McCain came over the speakers, and Julia Panic, an 8th grader, asked me if I wanted to dance. So I nervously said yes to what would be my first slow dance. I awkwardly placed my hands on her shoulders, like I was imparting a blessing. But apparently that's not how slow dances work. So she moved my hands around her waist, I silently said a Hail Mary, and we swayed to the music for a few minutes. Now that I got my first slow dance out of the way, I waited for my first kiss. Now, a lot of my friends were already dating when we were in 7th grade, and I thought that was a bit ridiculous. Tommy Kaplis even took Melissa DeLillo to Dapper's family restaurant for their 1-month anniversary. I wasn't quite ready for that kind of commitment. I did eventually get my first kiss. It was Friday, March 19th, 2004, during my freshman year at St. Patrick High School. Mom was going out, but she said I could have some friends over, so I invited Tommy and Brian to hang out. Brian had the brilliant idea of inviting his girlfriend, Megan, who brought her two friends from Trinity. Big Jen, she was tall, and Little Jen was not. Little Jen and I hit it off. She seemed to like me, and I thought she was really cute. I asked her if she wanted to see my room and talk. To my amazement, she said yes. So there we were, sitting on my bed, and as we were discussing that week's episode of The OC, I finally worked up the courage to ask her if I could kiss her. And she said yes. So we kissed, and we kissed, and we kissed some more. So there it was. I finally did it. I had my first kiss during Lent on St. Joseph's Day. And like any good Catholic, I felt guilty about it. But the next week, I was looking forward to kissing her again and felt guilty about it. We made out a lot over the next couple weeks. That's dating when you're 14. Then our relationship stalled and we just didn't see each other anymore. So now I was back to square one. Girls or God? The eternal struggle continued. Now it's October and I'm a sophomore. My friend Tommy is hosting a Halloween party. I decided to go full Holy Father and wear a Pope costume. I was also excited because a different group of girls from Trinity were going to be there. I was having a good time talking to my friends when a cute fairy named Bridget caught my eye, while I was dressed as the Vicar of Christ. She must have liked my tall hat because we talked all night and started dating shortly after. We dated for a few months and I was smitten. I even wore tights to play Theseus, Duke of Athens, in the Trinity High School production of A Midsummer Night's Dream. But alas, just like with little Jen, it eventually fizzled and we decided to part ways. I got to keep the tights. The problem seemed to be with me and those Trinity girls. Now, despite these affairs of the heart, I was humming along in my sophomore year at St. Pat's, becoming more interested in my religion, so much so that I was invited to attend World Youth Day that August in Cologne, Germany, to see Pope John Paul II in person. I was so excited for this opportunity and convinced my mom to let me go. I was finally going to be able to see this man who I admired so much and grow closer to Catholicism. A few weeks before Easter break, we started hanging out with a new group of girls from Resurrection High School, the other all-girls school. They were all very nice and friendly, but I didn't think any of them would be interested in me. And I would find out I was wrong at the worst possible moment for me. Easter saw the Pope's health decline rapidly. I was off from school that week and religiously, pardon the pun, checked in on his condition. By Friday, he was on his deathbed, and I was sad, but still trying to enjoy what was left of my Easter break. Saturday rolled around, and Brian and I were planning to hang out at a friend's house with the rest of our group. When he came to meet me at my house, news had just broken about the Pope's passing. The sad knowledge also set in that I was never going to be able to see him in person. I just wanted to stay home, but Brian convinced me to still go, so I went along. As we were hanging out in my friend's room, the girls from Res showed up, and I was surprised, but that lifted my spirits. While the rest of the guys were attempting to chew tobacco for the first time, I hung back and struck up a conversation with a cute redheaded girl named Steph. Now, I realize now she was flirting with me, but I was a little dense back then. Eventually, the guys started roughhousing, and she hopped into my lap for safety. That's when I knew she liked me, and I was happy until the guilt set in. because the Pope was dead and here I was enjoying myself. However, there wasn't enough Catholic guilt for me to ask her to get off my lap. That led to my longest relationship to that point. Steph and I dated all throughout my junior year, but eventually decided to end things. I got to my senior year and went off to college. I still didn't know what I was supposed to do with my life, so I made a deal with God. If I wasn't in a relationship by my sophomore year of college, I would look into being a priest. And I thought I heard the seminary calling, and I do look good in black. But God had other plans, and I met Hillary. In 2015, from my days as the pretend priest on the St. Francis Borgia blacktop, I stood on the other side of that line and became a real groom. Now here I am on my 4th pope, still happily married, just trying to be a good Catholic. Thank you.